Let's talk once again cybersecurity, especially in a hybrid workplace. And back on the live line with us, cybersecurity analyst with Vistrada, Matt Malone, on the live line. Matt, thanks for doing this again today.
No problem.
So this time we're talking passwords, and we've talked passwords in the past. A lot of times folks will use something really easy. I think like 12345 shows up an awful lot, which causes problems at your house. But what if you've got a company-issued laptop and you get to pick the password, and now you just pick the one that you use at home as well? Talk to us a little bit about being smart.
Well, so I'll give you an example. There was recently a hack that happened in California where somebody used a simple password and was able to poison the water supply, right? So that becomes problematic to where you have a lot of these people who are using simple passwords on things like TeamViewer or LogMeIn, and now someone has full remote control of your system. My best advice to you is treat your passwords like underwear. You know, don't share them, change them often, and don't leave them laying around. That's one of the top ones I can say.
Wow.
The other thing is use password managers if possible. And then one thing that I do is I use mnemonics. So my wife and I were married on April 28th, 2007. Right. So you use the first letter of each one of those, and you'll remember your anniversary and you'll remember your password.
That's a great. The study that got us to call you shows that 54% of employees reuse those passwords across multiple work accounts, and business owners are the biggest culprits. Is it maybe they're the least afraid of being fired for doing something stupid?
Well, they're the C-levels, and they oftentimes, I mean, unfortunately, it's do as I say and not as I do, right? And that if you're not kind of building a culture of security in your workplace, it's gonna cost you in the long run. So, I mean, training your employees as well as training your executive staff, and probably training your executive staff is harder for an IT guy or a security guy.
What you mentioned using something to keep track of your passwords. I have so many of them, and to your point, I have the fear in me from our IT department about making them as complex as possible. Is there a manager that you recommend?
So there are a couple different managers out there. It just kind of depends on your company preference, right? But because again, it should be like something like LastPass. There's some other ones out there, but the one thing that scares me about password managers, though, in like Google Chrome. So if you're using all your passwords are saved in Google Chrome, and you go log into a laptop or a computer at a hotel or something, all of your passwords are now stored on that computer. So be very careful on which password manager you choose, and if you choose to use like a default Chrome or something like that, remember, when you leave that computer, if you're still logged in, they can view all of your passwords. That's
a great point. We haven't talked about that enough either. If you go to an unsecured network to grab your Wi-Fi, coffee place, hotel lobby, wherever, there are ways for hackers to find all that stuff too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's the problem is, I mean, as just the same as when the stagecoaches were around, they would come up with a time lock, and then all of a sudden the criminals would come up with a better system. It's the same sort of thing today. As soon as we come up with a new technology, they figure out a way to kind of break it. So, unfortunately, you have to be mindful of these things because the asset is you are the asset now. Your username and your passwords and your data is now what hackers are trying to get. And what's absolutely crazy is, I mean, you think about one password that they get into, and it may be, let's say, an old MySpace account, right? If you're still using that password on multiple things, the attackers are pretty savvy to that. And if they break one system, they'll use it in other places to try and get into other accounts.
Company's called Vistrada. Cybersecurity analyst Matt Malone. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.